As we set out on this intellectual journey, we hope that the workshop will offer all attendees a plethora of insights, enable fruitful interaction, and inspire fresh perspective about the topic at hand. Without further delay, let's begin journey into the fascinating world of Indian knowledge and technology. I am honored to invite our first speaker of the day to share their valuable insights. Dr. Chinmayanda sir, sir, please.
Okay, so today I'll be talking about the relevance of Indian knowledge systems in the current era of technology and science. So, more or less, this entire talk, I'll try to concentrate, try to give you a bigger perspective, more from a philosophical and sort of a abstract point of view, because there are so many talks on YouTube. If you can see a YouTube channel called Sangam Talks, you'll get many. Or there are many other streams also where you can get specific concrete topics. But I'll try to give a bigger perspective of what Indian knowledge systems are and why are they relevant. And maybe I'll end with the specific case of health or medicine. Okay, so let's start. So today we have, even though we say that we are highly advanced people and we are in the age of science and technology, we are yet facing a lot of problems in the current world. Okay, so problems like climate change or pollution and many of its byproducts, or it could be healthcare issues. When I say healthcare issues, it's not just someone getting uh, bad health, what you say, medical facility. It's also about the morality and the rationality that is there in these sciences, so-called sciences, right? Um, and then you have mental health problems, and then you have some political sort of problems also, like authoritarianism or military conflicts that you are seeing nowadays. And coming to social problems, you also have injustice, human rights violation, corruption, many of behavioral problems. Okay, both in the younger generation as well as older generation. Okay, different sorts of those problems. So these are the problems that we are facing today, and their byproducts also. Okay, so what is the solution? Is there any solution that we can get out of technology? So to understand that, let us see what is the root cause of all these problems. So if you see from the angle or lens of Indian knowledge systems, uh, it looks like the ignorance and lack of knowledge about the interconnection between the inner world and the external world, which is the material world, uh, which is under the influence of so-called scientific advancement or technological development. Okay, so this, I think, this ignorance or lack of knowledge, or maybe say, let us say, lack of or sort of overconfidence about the scientific advancement is the cause of all these problems. So if you take any such problem, for example, see the way the Western ideology or the current scientific thought process is going is it just concentrates only on the external world. Okay, external world in the sense material world. So whatever you can perceive by your sense organs, you will sort of design an experiment, and you will see that is that experiment repeatable. Okay, and then you will try to come to a conclusion, yes, whether this method works or it doesn't work. Okay, so you basically use statistics. Okay, for example, if you are uh, testing a drug or discovering a drug, right? So how do you say that it cures a particular problem, I mean health problem or a disease? So you try. test it on so many people. Okay, let's say 100 people or 1,000 guys, and then if it cures, maybe let's say for out of 1,000, if it cures 900 people, yeah, it's done, right? So that's the way it goes. So here you are not at all worried about uh, how it is actually curing the disease, right? So you're only worried about the end result. So you're not worried about the process and the side effects, right? So even many of the drugs that we take nowadays, um, or that we have been taking in at least the recent past, right? Maybe after 5 years or 10 years of their introduction to the mainstream society, they have been banned because after 10 years they see the very lethal adverse effects, right? So even though we say that medicine is science, by this argument, if you see, medicine is pseudoscience. Anyway, we have to live with it. But then, is there a better solution? Okay, this is just uh, looking into medical. But even if you take any other problem that we are facing today, it could be military conflicts or corruption, or let's say human rights violation, right? Including climate change. All these problems have the same root cause. We don't know how each and every other object in our universe is related to every other object. Okay, so the current science um, thinks that all these different sub branches of science are highly disconnected. At least nowadays, there is some sort of interdisciplinary studies that is coming up, but still, when compared to the Indian knowledge systems, it still looks like it's taking some baby steps. Okay. Okay, so to understand why it is relevant, we need to first understand how Indian thinking is different from Western thinking. So to set the ground, um, or to set the basic definition so that we are clear about what we are talking, whenever I talk about Indian thinking, I am talking of the distant past, or the distant past in the sense before 19th century. Okay, 100 or 200 years back, right? So that is the distant past that I'm talking about. And when I talk about Western thinking, it is post-Greek era. Okay. So with this base set, let's just go through some of the very important differences between Indian and Western thinking, because this is the root cause for all our current problems. Okay. So if you see on the Indian side, we think from a more comprehensive uh, or a sort of more 360-degree perspective um, is taken regarding all things. Okay. Whereas on the other hand, Western, if you see the Western thinking, it's more of a reductionist approach when they try to understand universe. See, either it could be Eastern philosophies. When I say Eastern or Indian philosophies, I include Buddhism, Jainism, and Hinduism. Okay. And then when I say Western thinking, it's more of the things that have taken place in the West. Many of the things, I mean, majority of the things after Renaissance. Okay, so that is post Greek era, or let us say, to be more clear, post after Renaissance. So there, every other aspect of the universe is, when they started, they were completely detached. Okay, so it's something like this. So let me first tell you what a reductionist approach is. Okay, so reductionist approaches basically, um, let us say, if I give you a flower, right? So if you are a physicist, you will try to find out what are the physical properties and uh, so on and so forth. And if you are a chemist, you will try to find out. You will try to uh, uh, use that flower and maybe extract some chemicals and say, okay, this flower is made up of say some X% of nitrogen, X% of carbon dioxide, whatever, so on and so forth. Okay, and if you give it to a maybe a poet, he will maybe write a poem on that, right? Like daffodils. So, and maybe if you give to a mathematician, maybe he will look at the geometry and find the ratio and proportion. Maybe he might be interested in the golden ratio, so on and so forth, right? So everyone starts looking from a different perspective. Okay, the current scientific community, right, based on their background. So it is just like some people, blind people, touching different parts of the element and then saying, okay, elephant is like a, uh, let's say, a pipe. Okay, by just looking at touching its trunk, and maybe by sensing its legs, maybe someone else will say elephant is like a pillar, right? So on and so forth, or maybe a drum. Okay, so this is the way the current scientific research is going ahead. Only good news is that at least now in the West, some people are thinking that these different branches, sub branches of science like physics, chemistry, astronomy, they're all somehow interrelated. But still, the state of art is like it's just taking baby steps. Okay. So this is what is reductionist approach. You just worry about only uh, say physical properties or only chemical properties or only mathematical properties, geometrical properties, only that much, or biological properties. But you don't try to see all of them as one connected, continuous or continuum of things. Okay? So this is basically reductionist approach. So let's see the downside of this reductionist approach. Okay? So until 1948, the definition of health, okay, was primarily confined to only physical condition of the body. You just think of this fact. I mean, if you just Google out, you'll get these facts. Okay, it's not something difficult nowadays. So at least 50 to 60 years back, if you look at allopathy, okay, they didn't give any importance to diet. Okay, so that was the case 50, 60 years back. Okay, so it's only taking into account the physical condition of the body. If you get a disease, they say that it is because some chemicals have changed their course, or they are coming in more concentration to a particular gland or whatever. Okay, and that's why a disease is caused. Okay, or some cells, some malicious cells are growing, right? Some cancerous cells are growing. Okay? But then they're not at all worried about the root cause. So they don't worry about what was the condition that led to such cancerous cells growing in such large number in some particular part of the body. So this is not taken into account. Okay. So this with this example, we can understand one thing, that all our sciences are worried about intermediate causes. Again, I can give you an example from physics. So let us say, why should I mean, gravitation law, right? And if I ask you why it is always inverse square of the distance, then probably you might know or you might not know. But maybe let us assume that you are good at physics. Then you will try to cook up something from based on your advanced knowledge of physics and say, sir, it's because of something related to nuclear forces. You are getting a inverse square law. Okay, when you talk of gravitational force. Yeah, but then the same similar question will get concentrated over the nuclear force. Okay, the next question that I would ask is, okay, why nuclear force is like the way it is? Why it is behaving in the way it is behaving, right? So all that we are doing in the current science and technology is we are having certain intermediate causes. They are not the ultimate causes. Okay, we don't know the ultimate reason why it is there, and we are just going behind it. Okay, thinking that we know all these things just because we know that something, we know the pattern behind certain physical phenomena. We think that we know everything. Okay, so that is the uh, shortcoming of the current science. Okay, so coming back to the same example, so that's, I talked about 1948, and then if you come to 1970s or 80s, the definition of health got expanded. Then they thought of, okay, so a particular illness or a disorder has also components coming from the environmental and spiritual health and intellectual health. Okay, and then they thought of, Okay, there should be a balance between all these components. Okay, so it took almost, let's say, from Renaissance, that is like 14th century to 19th or late 20th century, it's like 5 centuries to understand, at least to some extent, what is health. Okay, so and this is what is the perceived understanding of what is health. Okay, so let's go back to the differences slide. So having understood this, the reductionist approach, okay, if you come to the counterpart in Indian thing, we understand that everything is connected to every other thing. Okay, for example, I'll give you a very simple example. You can try it out. Okay, let's worry about the way you are taking your breath. Okay, I'm just trying to give you an example where, I mean, to just showcase that Indian knowledge systems go very deep. Okay, they're not even as, I mean, they're not superficial as the current science. Okay, so to understand that, you need a lot of patience and you need to experiment. Okay, so this is an example of breath. Okay, so if you can check it now itself. So you'll be usually breathing um, in a particular, at a particular point in time, you'll be using only one nostril most of the times. Okay, at a given point in time, and this nostril through which you are taking your breath will keep on changing. Okay, it will switch from right to left, left to right, so on and so forth. And around let's say what we call as sandhya kala. Sandhya kala means the join, sandhi means joining, right? So sandhya kala is the joint in time of night and day. Okay, that is in the morning, early hours of the morning, and late I mean in the evening. Okay, late evening, you can observe that the breath is taken through both the nostrils, whereas in the other time it is going through majorly through one of the nostrils, and then the nostril is switching. Okay, you can try it now. If you, so this particular knowledge is carefully, or this particular phenomena is very deeply investigated in something known as swara shastra. Okay, it is called as swara shastra. Okay, it's a part of yoga which many of us don't know, because it was only with great yogis. So the beauty of this science of breath is that you can predict many things using, including you can predict many things about your health. You can predict many things about uh, persons sitting nearby you, if you are an adept at this particular branch of uh, Indian knowledge systems. Okay, but the same thing, similar phenomena, but not at not completely. They call it as biological rhythms or circadian rhythms. So you can Google it out whenever you have time. So circadian rhythms is something, or so to make it more simple, there are some biological rhythms. Okay, one thing that you can easily observe, if you have taken flight to maybe some faraway country, you will have jet lag, right? So there is an internal clock in your body, and the beauty that Indian thinking gives about this is they relate this to the astronomy. Okay, I'm not talking of astrology, I'm talking about astronomy. So if you see, there is um, a lot of correlation between how this breath variation happens in your two nostrils. Okay, I'm not going into the details. So you can look into books like Shiva Swarodaya or Swarodaya Vijnan. Okay, one book is in Hindi and the other one is in Sanskrit along with a Hindi commentary. So the book is Shiva Swarodaya or Swarodaya Vijnan. Okay. But you see that almost very recently it was found out in the Western science. Okay. So that is one important difference. So the second point about Indian thinking is we only ask relevant questions. When I say relevant questions, questions are really practical and really related to your day-to-day life. So for example, questions related to birth, your existence. So when before Newton, if you had seen apple falling from the tree, right? What would you have thought? I mean, if I ask you why apple is falling from the tree, then you would say, okay, yeah, it is from long ages. I mean, it is the same way, it is working the same way, so it's falling. Or it might be, you might say it is random, or you might not know the answer. If you are a little bit intelligent, you would say, I don't know, right? So that is how it is. Okay, so until you have discovered something, you will not even accept it. Okay, so on the other hand, if you see the Indian thinking, you ask questions and there are answers for everything, starting from why you are born to a particular parent in a particular family in a particular country with a particular color and with a particular height and with a particular digestive power, so on and so forth. If you ask, there is a clear cut answer. Okay, but it takes a lot of time to study and master that knowledge. Okay, and this knowledge is not some sort of astrology, it's something hardcore astronomy, and it's a particular, I mean, it's a hardcore science. Okay, but since the West has not discovered it, again they will say that, okay, this is not science, okay, this is pseudoscience. Whereas I have told you an example of Western science being also pseudoscience in the case of medicine. Okay, so you ask any question related to cognition, knowledge, values, mind, language, all these things you will get, at least the hints and answers, partial answers you will get in Indian thinking. Okay, the beauty of Indian knowledge systems is that it will not give complete answers. Okay, it will give you pathways to explore on your own and then get the knowledge through practical experience, but it will give you a lot of hints. Okay, on the other hand, the West completely denies it. Okay, they can't even answer questions like why a person is born to a poor parent or why the person has to suffer. Okay, so modern psychology is still primitive. Okay, on the other hand, if you take Indian thinking, here we have a good understanding of what is the ultimate cause of this universe. Okay, so and that has been stated in texts like Brahma Sutras and philosophy, Upanishads, right? But on the other hand, even today we don't know what is the actual cause of the current universe. They say Big Bang, but then the question comes, why should there be Big Bang, right? How all these things took place? Okay, what was there before Big Bang? Okay, again there you have uh, blank faces. Okay. On the other hand, if you see Indian thinking, we take into account both subjectivity and objectivity. But if you take the Western thinking, you just take objectivity into account. Okay, even to prove that you will be happy, right? For example, let's take a very simple statement. Okay, if you have good sleep, you'll be relaxed. Let us say that this is the statement, okay, or this is the theorem. To prove this, they have to take so much of data and then say, okay, this is the right thing, right? So uh, the truth value of a particular statement depends on numbers and not the real fact. Okay, and but the problem on the Indian counterpart is to understand, digest, and come up with uh, scientific tools to validate it. Current scientific tools to validate it. It will take a lot of time, experimentation, perseverance to do this. Okay? But on the other hand, the Western knowledge systems are easy to understand compared to Indian knowledge systems because their only objectivity is taken into account. So the beauty of Indian knowledge systems is, for example, there are so many people who like music, but the reason why why each of you like music will be different. The exact reason. Okay, if you just delve into yourself. Okay, most of the people think that Indian knowledge systems is only about spirituality. No, okay? There are great sciences, physical sciences, and there's a connection. The sciences also give connection between the inner world, that is the mental world, okay, the psyche, and the physical world. Okay, so this connection you don't see in Western sciences. Okay, so here I have given some universal experience of Indian philosophies. Uh, So I was talking about the ultimate cause of the universe. Okay, so we have a lot of examples, starting from the Roman Empire, including Pythagoras, or you can take a Persian mystic, Al-Halaj, Mansur Al-Halaj, or if you come to India itself, you can see many people like Nisargadatta Maharaj, Ramana Maharshi, so on and so forth. Okay, who have experienced this universal truth. Okay, and you also have this person called Edgar Casey, who's an American, and he was a staunch Christian. Okay, he was a staunch Christian, and he used to heal many people using his self hypnotism. Okay, and there he could see many things related to the secrets of the universe. Okay, when he went to that self hypnotistic state, he could see all the subtle things, or what you call as rahasya. Okay, about reincarnation, dreams, afterlife, past lives, and future events. But today, I mean, scientists just uh, don't accept rebirth just because they say that uh, it is not reproducible, right? But on the other hand, if you see the same science experiments, right, experiences, dreams, and afterlife. So, if you take the scientific world also, consider the bending of light experiment uh, done in 1915, I guess, right? 1915 or 1905, I'm not sure. So, there was this theory of relativity proposed by Einstein, and one of the predictions was that light will also bend. Okay, but to prove this in a way that the entire world accepts, you need to have a fundamental sort of premise or a sort of setting, right? We cannot do every experiment in every other setting, right? We cannot do that. So you need to have a setting in which there's a chance of seeing the light bend, okay, bent by some degrees, okay. So for that, people had to wait. People had to come up with a lot of machinery which can measure that angle of bending, and then it was proved, right? So similarly, when you talk of rebirth or maybe afterlife or healing through sounds and healing through many other things, which I'm going to talk about in some time. So you need to come up with such sophisticated experimental setup to prove it. So without having that thing, how can you say no, right? Whenever you disprove or prove in mathematics, you have a set of logical reasoning, steps of logic, through which you will say, okay, this is proved or this is disproved, right? But when you take science for that matter, so when I say and when I talk science, I'm talking in the spirit of what Feynman defined science. Okay, so he excludes mathematics from science. Okay, so science doesn't whenever scientists deny something, they don't give the reason for it. They say just because I'm not seeing, it doesn't exist. So if you go by the same logic, just because you don't see, let's say, space in the sense akasha of Indian philosophy, or let us say you don't see the breeze. I mean, you can feel the breeze, but you don't see it, right, through your bare eyes. So how do you deny its existence? Okay, so that's not the right reason to deny. So so-called scientists are also pseudoscientists. Okay, so it is science, and I mean we are under that sort of feeling that we are highly scientific, or so on and so forth, without thinking deeply. Okay, we look down on our own customs as superstition, but when taking the Western mindset or Western lifestyle, we don't even bother for a second, right? So if I ask you, why should you cut a cake and blow the candles to celebrate your birthday? What is the scientific reason behind that? You don't have any reason, absolutely, right? But on the same hand, if someone goes to temple or some other things of God, or devotes to God, right? So you say, what is I mean, what is the scientific reason behind? Okay, So so-called scientists are also pseudo-scientists, right? Okay, but I'm not on the uh, um, objective part of it. I'm not discarding science, but I'm talking about the pseudo-scientific mentality of scientists. So this is because of the reductionist methodology. Okay, so they only worry about the, if he's a physicist, he only worries about the physical aspects. He will not worry about other aspects, right? Okay, so let's concentrate on the health part. So this is the example that I'm taking to illustrate how comprehensive our Ayurveda is. Okay, so what is the definition of health? Okay, so there are different words that we use. The beauty of Sanskrit language, which we have used for thousands of years and still using it, is because every other word has a very scientific meaning. Okay, to just bring that spirit. Okay, if I ask you what is the logic behind placing B after A and C after B and D after C in the alphabet, you don't have any logic. And you call, I mean, I'm not, when I say you, I'm not addressing you, but I'm talking about the scientific mentality of so-called scientific community, that is we ourselves. Okay, when we say we are all having scientific temperament, we don't even think of what science is there behind mugging up A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? So first of all, it is not even phonetic. I mean, phonetic language, right? But on the other hand, thousands of years back, the script and the letters that we had were phonetic. I mean, whatever we talk is whatever we write, right? So why should put big? I mean, why put is put, but why but is not but, right? There is no scientific reasoning, right? So these Western people had so much of ignorance, and forget ignorance. I would say it's common sense, right? Lack of common sense to even devise their alphabets, right? Okay. On the other hand, if you come to the Indian counterpart, you see that there is a clear-cut logic as to why A should be before E and E should follow. I mean, sorry, E should be followed by U, so on and so forth. Okay, I'll not get into that, but I'm saying that there is a clear-cut logic. Okay, which is also scientific, which takes into account where these sounds originate in the human body and what is the shape that is taken by the different articulators in your mouth. I mean, the entire speech machinery, and that is how they have been devised. Okay, so coming to Ayurveda, so here there is a definition of who is swastha. Swastha means there is, I cannot translate it exactly, but we can say the approximate translation is a healthy person or health. Okay, so it is said samadoshaha samagnischa samadhatu malakriyaha prasanna atmendriyamanah swastha ityabhidhiyate. So you see that it is taking prasanna atma indriya mana. Indriya is sense organ, mana is your mind and consisting of many other partitions, and atma is your soul. So there could be situations where your mind is happy but your atma is not happy. For example, okay, you boost sometimes. Okay, maybe we had a recent incident in our institute, so your seniors wanted to just make merry and so on and so forth because they are going out, so they boost couple of them, right? So instantly there will be happiness in what? In mind. But is the Atma happy or the Indriyas happy? The sense organs are not under your control. So it is first of all not happy. Okay, so you are thinking that you will be happy just because you have a lot of money or you are from a aristocratic family. Okay, if I boost, that's some sort of status and so on and so forth. So again, you see that there is a pseudo sort of rationality, right? So see that, I mean, contrast that thing with this definition. Okay, so you have samadosha. So see the beauty of this definition is it starts with the doshas. Doshas are some sort of shortcomings within the body. all our human bodies or all other living beings will have some or the other dosha. So the dosha that I'm talking technically is Vata Pitta Kapha, which I will not get into, but there are some shortcomings. So what this definition is telling is samadosha means when all these different so the samatva here means equilibrium. Okay, so in the medical terminology it is called as homeostasis. Okay, so these different weaknesses or shortcomings that you have physically and mentally, they should have some sort of equilibrium. Okay, so that is the first point. And then samagnischa, your digestive power should be good. Okay, and samadhatu malakriyaha. So what is dhatu? Dhatu is there are 7 types of ingredients in your body, starting from the bile juice, and then rasa, rakta, mamsa, asthi, meda, so on and so forth. Okay, so there are some 7 elements, including your bones, marrow, and then muscles, so on and so forth. And malakriyaha. Mala is the waste that is produced by the body. So the waste that is produced by the body is either urine or the faces, and also the hair. I mean, the hair that you have, and also the sweat, and also your nails. Okay. So if you have any symptom, right? These, I mean, of a disease, this is shown up in all these different dhatus and malas and so on and so forth. Okay, even the agni, the digestive power. Okay. You see that such a comprehensive viewpoint was taken by Sushruta, okay, 2000 or more than 2000 years back. Okay. Whereas the modern science, it took almost how many years? Very recently, let's say 50 years, to come up to a part of this definition. Okay, not even complete this, right? So it has not even got the entire perspective of what is health. It has a part of that definition that Indians have given. Okay. Okay. So how does the Indian system treat a disease, or how does it view it? Okay. So it tries to treat the patient and not the disease. That is the key point. Okay. Whereas the Western perspective is it tries to treat the disease but not the patient. What is the meaning of treating the disease but not the patient? Let us say you have a particular disorder or illness or whatever. Let us say fever. Okay, you take some paracetamol or dolo or anything. Okay, so you keep on taking the dolo for a long time. There is a lot of side effects. So it is trying to cure that disease. What is the disease? The disease is fever, but then it has a lot of other side effects. Okay. To quote my own example, very recently I had some patches on my left chin. Okay, first I went to the allopathic treatment. Even though knowing that Ayurveda is good, I went to allopathic treatment. Okay, hoping that something would come up. Okay, so it took some 6 months, and it didn't heal, and I had to take some what they call steroids. Okay, and it completely has spoiled my gut. Now I am recovering, but after that, after I knew that they have given me steroids, okay, I just quickly switched to Ayurveda, and within 2 months, I didn't take any what you say um, external nutrients in terms of pills. Okay, they just give me an ointment, and I had to apply it for 1 month. It cured me. Okay, there are so many examples. If you take your own family members who are using it, okay, it might take some time, but then it quickly heals. Okay. Having said that, I'm again not denying the current medicine, because even though it is not completely illogical, it is pseudo logical. Okay. So the logic is not complete. Okay. So so this is the definition of swasthya or health that I want to uh, highlight. Okay. So if you carefully see the word swastha, swa means self. Stha is that you are in yourself. Okay, what is the meaning of you are in yourself? That I mean, if you are full of mindfulness, right? If you are in a state of mindfulness, when I say mindfulness, you are completely concentrating on each and every other work, and you are completely happy. Okay, ultimately happy. Okay, So then you don't have to worry about these boosting sort of external what to say external agencies or external sources of happiness will not matter, which is basically materialistic happiness is not at all required for you. So that is actually the definition of swasthya. It takes into account starting from the spiritual to the physical. Okay, so that is the beauty of Indian sciences. So coming to the current challenges again in health, if you see, we see a lot of premature aging. Okay, if I compare people of my generation with my own, your generation, and also my previous generations, they seem to be more younger than us, even though they are biologically aged. Okay, and we seem to be more younger than you. Okay, at least good percentage of the younger generation, we seem to be more younger compared to you. Okay, and why is this happening? This is basically because of your bad lifestyle and imaginary stress. You take stress for every other thing, right? This is because every time you are fed with this thought that okay, you have to get some 15 lakh package or 20 lakh package, and that is the ultimate goal of your life. Okay, so that is the way you are brought up, or that is the way you are meant to behave, right? So you are not natural. So something which is not natural will kick back. Okay. So again, there's a reduction in your physical capabilities, in your intellectual capabilities, and emotional capabilities. Okay. So I don't know how many of you heard of this BK Iyengar. So he was a great yoga guru. Okay, once a Chinese guy came to his school and said that I have mastered so many martial arts. So tell me what is so special about your yoga. Okay, so he asked the Acharya, who is BK Iyengar, he asked that person to stand for 5 minutes without any motion. Okay, and that guy couldn't even stand still for 5 minutes because his mind was full of ego, and he was thinking that I have mastered everything, I know everything. Okay, just because he has mastered some 8 9 different martial arts, he thinks that he's great. Okay? He couldn't even stand for 5 minutes. Okay, so this is the physical capability. Okay, so concentrating for a longer duration of time is again your intellectual capability. Emotional capability is like something that I talked some time back, imaginary stress. Okay, you can't even handle simple stress. Very recently we are seeing that lot of the younger generation, I mean especially 5 years back it was a trend that people in the age range 20 to 30 were getting heart attacks. That numbers were increasing. Now it has shifted to 15 to 20. Okay, and the beautiful part, if you see the Puranas, which you think as superstitious, mythical, sort of imaginary stories, if you go to Vishnu Purana and look at the Kali Yuga Varnana, right, how people will behave in Kali Yuga. So it is given that at the end of it, people's age will get limited to 20 or 15. And that is what we are seeing now. The start of that we are seeing now. Okay? So this is the 360-degree point of perspective that I was talking about. Okay, so some of the solutions that people say, the current doctor says, avoid smoking and alcohol, good sleep, take good sleep. Okay, healthy diet, exercise, and meditation. But if you ask me how many hours you sleep, I sleep hardly for 4 hours, and I have good health. Okay, so again, you see that it's a blind blanket. So if you ask a current allopathic doctor, right, why some person is lean and why some person is fat, why some person has good digestive power and why some other person has bad digestive power, he can't even answer this simple question. Okay, he can say that the bile juice is being produced in more excess quantity, so he has good digestive power. But again, the same question remains: why that person is able to produce more bile juice or any other thing, right? Okay, so with all of these things, we still have the problem open. Okay, so here is the ultimate solution. I'm not saying that the previous slide is of no use. Okay, that is, the meditation is of no use, exercise is of no use. But I'm talking about how morally and physically and intellectually you must be stable, and that is the root cause of all your ill health. Okay? These are the external or superficial factors to change the state from ill health to health. Okay, but on the other hand, what is the ultimate thing? This is the ultimate thing. That is the philosophic statement in Bhagavad Gita. Uddhared atmanatmanam, natmanam avasadayet, atmaiva hyatmano bandhuhu, atmaiva ripuratmanah. So the crux of it is that you must uplift yourself. No one will help you. Okay? And you are your own enemy and you are your own friend. Okay? And it also says, Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandhamokshayoho. Mind is the cause for all unnecessary affliction. Trace the ultimate cause, not the intermediate cause. That is the punchline. If you have to take one statement from this entire conversation, I would say this is it. Okay. Uh, just a minute. So I have given some more solutions, not the ones that you usually hear. So there is this mudras, color therapy, music therapy that you can undergo. Okay, and when it comes to diet, right, don't follow the so-called Western uh, diet prescriptions. Follow your traditional and family-based diet, and it will help you. Okay, and differentiate between life and living. You have to earn to lead a living. Okay, living is different from life. Even dogs live. Okay. Okay, so there's a difference between having a life and living. Okay, so to have a life, you need to carve a passionate path. Maybe taking something from classical dance, music, classical music, drawing, painting, literature. I'm very much particular about classical dance and classical music because they inherently have the healing power. Your modern dance, it could be whatever. Okay, it could be even um, your Michael Jackson. I might be hurting your feelings, but you saw what was his fate. Okay, but on the other hand, you see great dancers living for like 70, 80s, I mean, with full health. Okay, without any BP, sugar, or any such issue. Okay, so don't get into a rat race. Okay, so this is the beauty about Indian knowledge systems. I have just given you one example, but if you take any other aspect, for example, the basic Varnamala, that is the way letters are, the language, the grammar, the arts, right? They have immense amount of science which is there in it, and it takes some time to bring that into limelight. Okay, but having said that, uh, again, I'm telling you again, I'm not denying the current scientific development. Okay, but what I'm trying to tell is the current scientific and technological development has lot of flaws. Take the best out of the modern technological development, take the best out of the Indian knowledge systems, and make your life and living happier and healthier. Okay, thank you. So if you have any questions, you can start now.
So, if there is any question, you can write on chat box or you can unmute and ask.
Hello,
Hello.
sir. Our Indian knowledge systems have not grown from maybe 2000 years. So the burden of proof that it is correct is upon us, not upon the Western world. So how we can increase the knowledge base, and how
Okay.
can we prove that?
Yeah. So okay. So good question. So actually, the knowledge systems that we have, they are already in their full blossomed version. Okay. Only thing is you need some sort of evidence, because the current science, I mean, to make it appealable, the only thing that we have to do is that we need a lot of data collection. Uh, we are taking one such project. We have one such project with us. But that will not suffice. We will have to take a lot of data collection and use our tools to see what sort of conditions are favorable or not. Maybe it could be pertaining to health or mental thing, or maybe music therapy or color therapy, so on and so forth. That is the way to go ahead with proving them.
Sir, namaste.
Namaste.
I'm working on ancient Indian astronomy and mathematics, and so far as so far I read that the knowledge system of India is very limited. Means if you take for research to any other physics or anything, there are vast knowledge so that you can pick up and you can know, you can do something. But uh, I think Indian knowledge is so not vast, means for research purpose. Means,
Okay. So let me open up something, a proposal that I had put very recently. Okay.
yes, sir.
So to just show you that how vast it is. So there is some set of papers that I have. So this consists of both Western as well as traditional thing. Okay. So I hope it is. You are able to see some of the titles. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let me open something which is called as Brihat Samhita, written by our Varahamihra, and let us just go through the contents. Okay. And yeah, the only thing is, see, problem that we have currently is that people are not working on it because it is not recognized by the Western thing. Because again, because of all vested interests. Okay, so since they are not recognizing it, we are also not recognizing it. But there are lot many things. So you see, here you have the sun, moon. So Aditya Chara means what? The motion of a particular planet. Okay. So you have descriptions, detailed descriptions about all these things. Again, Agastya is nothing but Polaris. Okay. Seven stages are also stars. Okay. And then you have about stars and many other things. The beauty comes now. Okay. So here there is a chapter on Pravarshana, which is basically the quantity of rainfall. Okay. Before that, you see, it talks about how clouds are formed. Okay, which is Garbha Lakshana. Okay, and then you also have many other things like the wind circle, right? You might have heard of westerlies and easterlies. That was already discovered by us. Okay, and then many other things, including signs of the earthquake. Okay, but only thing that is required as of now is, as I have shown you some of these papers. Let me open some of them, maybe to just. So this is a person from IASC. He was an IASC. So he has written a paper. Okay, but the only thing is they are not validating it. The unfortunate thing is that we are not even getting funding. One thing, and people are not accepting just because of the superstition that whatever Indian is superstition. Okay, so here you see at least some amount of statistics that he has taken. Okay, and similarly there are so many papers. Okay, so this is from the West. Okay, so I'm talking about a paper from the West. You might see University of Massachusetts Amherst by Bruce Caulfield. Okay, so he in 2010 has written a thesis on history and test of planetary weather forecasting. Remember that this was there even in Greek, but it was not as developed as Indians. Okay, so again, this is the thesis, and he has started from scratch. He has only worried about Sun and Saturn aspect, but see, Brihat Samhita, it has worried about all other aspects, including growth of crops, hurricane, haze, so on and so forth. So it is not limited or it is not completely developed. Only thing is we need to validate it with some experiments. And for all our proof thing, we have data science and machine learning. It's just a matter of applying them. So if anyone is interested, you can. We have such things. We have all this literature. We had given the proposal, but unfortunately they didn't accept it. Okay, so all these things are there. It's up to us to bring it to the limelight. Hope I answered your question.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Dr. Sripani, could you the name of that relates breadth and astronomy? Okay, so the book that relates breadth and astronomy is so that branch is known as Swarashastra. So books are Shiva Swarodaya. We are working on this, so you can contact me also. My mail ID is Chinmayanda.in, so you can contact me. So these are the books Shiva Swarodaya, and there is a Swarodaya Vijnan. These books are available on archive online only, so you can have a look at it. Again, we need thorough experimentation, data collection, and then validation, and that will bring things to the limelight. Okay, any other question? Okay, hope I can leave the dais.
Thanks,
Thank
sir.
you.
Wonderful talk.
Thank you so much, sir, for valuable information shared with us.